We've got Boogie Nights out in Oakland. Can anybody even come close to the Warriors? Who is controlling the post-LeBron Lakers moves? The only question left is, say it with me, you win? Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to another emergency podcast live show, Dave Dufour NBA show we have for you. A huge bomb just got dropped on us. We were wondering why it was so quiet up in Oakland, and the reason is because they just signed DeMarcus Cousins. Dave, I'll give you the first reaction to this news.
This is insane, and I just want to point out Boogie signing for 5.3. He's signing for the taxpayers mid-level exception. The Pelicans decided to move on from Boogie when they signed Julius Randle, apparently. And the Lakers didn't offer Boogie enough for him to want to come there. And so he decided he wanted to go to a winning situation. I think it's a good decision for Boogie. You know, he's coming off a devastating injury, that Achilles. We've seen guys try to come back, and they've not really been successful historically. This gives him a chance. He can kind of ease himself back in. And for the Warriors, if Boogie comes back and he's 70% of the player that Boogie Cousins can be at $5.3 million, it's a steal. Mm-hmm. And you've upgraded, basically their biggest position of, where they were weak. They were starting Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee. So it's obviously a great signing for the Warriors, but I like it for Boogie too. He gets to go win a ring and, take his time coming back. Doesn't have to rush and probably makes himself some money. There's going to be a lot more money on the market next year. Well,
what I find interesting is that a lot of people thought, Boogie, he'll be back by the beginning of the year, by the beginning of the season. And I kept saying, no, he's not going to be back. And then I did see a thing. Now that he's committed to playing for the Warriors, it came out, I think it was pretty official, that he won't play until about January 1st, which is exactly what. It's at least a year from the time he got hurt till he gets back. And then even then, he's not going to be 100%. So the interesting question we have here, before we even get to try and figure out what it's going to look like on the court when he's out there, is what do the Warriors do as a stopgap measure in between the start of the season and when he does even get back on the floor. So I guess we have some more Zaza until that happens.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be Zaza. It could be Kevon Looney. It could be Jordan Bell. It could be Damian Jones. They might just feel like for the first few months of the season, they can run those guys out there. And remember, every year there's centers on the buyout market. Tyson Chandler, minted it this year. So that, if Boogie doesn't quite come back, or if he comes back and he's ineffective, they'll always be able to go out and find someone. This is the kind of the benefit of being such a great team and having a great front office is there's no shortage of bodies that you could plug in and make work. Yeah, we all know who they want to play in the playoffs anyway.
Right now, I'm trying to check out Kevon Looney. He is under contract, I guess, for another. Let's see here.
No, he's a restricted free agent.
Oh, okay, so they can match. Well, right, somebody could really gum up the works and offer him a lot of money to force the Warriors to maybe not sign him, because he was really good and he was developing to a guy that they could rely on as a starter for a long stretch of time. That would have made it like almost unfair that they can plug these guys in and they perform really well exactly the way they need them to.
I don't know. I mean, is it unfair that they've got a good system and, that they drafted well? And I just, I don't know, man. I'm unbothered by it. I think, this is a case of the rich getting richer, but the reason that they got rich was, because they were smart. They drafted well. Mm-hmm. They hired a good coach. They did everything right. And this is how you get guys like KD to come and sign with your team and give up money and give up prestige of kind of being the man on your own team. And this is how you get guys like Boogie to say, you know what, I'll do this for a year while I'm coming back from injury. Like, I get it. There's a lot of people who are really upset, and I think most of them are Lakers fans, because this really took the wind out of the LeBron James signing. The wind out of their sails.
There's a lot more that took the wind out of their sails after the LeBron signing, which we're going to get to in a minute. But let's finish the Boogie's focus here. So, and again, by the way, like a guy like Kevon Looney, because he had hip surgery and he didn't play a lot. He was, winding on the bench. On the Kings, could have been a bust. He could have ultimately never panned out on a lot of different teams. So it's the same kind of thing where like the culture they've created and the way they've kept them. Nick Nick Young, even guys like that who easily could have been malcontents because they didn't play very much. But like Steve Kerr, kept letting him know like there's going to be a time. And then, it's, by the way, it's easy to say that to somebody. Don't worry. At some point, we're going to really need you and you're going to come through. And it's easy to say that it never happens, and then you really look like a schmuck. But look, they threw Nick Young out there in the finals, and he did nicely for them, and they swept. So a real big testament to what's happening with the Warriors. And the question then is how they're building this, which is a stark contrast to Cleveland. How they're building this seems to me that they can extend this run for a long time, much longer than whatever Cleveland did. Obviously, now that LeBron is gone.
Right. I mean, their starting point is a little bit better than what Cleveland had. Cleveland's starting point was LeBron, Kyrie, and then it sort of fell apart. Relationship side from there. And I think maybe they just don't have the egos, or at least they do a better job of managing the egos, right? And that's half the battle. In this whole thing is Steve Kerr has done such a good job of fighting off the disease of me in the locker room, and having a star player like Steph Curry, who, he really is only concerned with winning. He doesn't really care about selling shoes or any of these other things. Klay Thompson, possibly the most low maintenance star player we have ever had in the league. Right. Draymond Green, another guy who his ego is all about the team. I think a lot of people misconstrue, he's obviously a fiery guy, and he can, you can get him kind of bent out of shape. But at the same time, he's the ultimate teammate and is well liked and loved in the locker room and things like that. So, I think that this is organizational success, and this was not an accident. It's on purpose. So,
well, what do you make of what David West said then? We talked about it when it came out.
It's not a thing. He was literally just trolling the media.
Okay.
It's not a thing.
Well, we know it was a thing. Like Steve Kerr acknowledged that it took him a while to figure out what he was. So he's talking about something, right? I get when you say it's not a thing. I guess you mean it's like nothing consequential,
right? Yeah. It was not like a.
Well, because when you say trolling, it almost feels like he's making it up. He's not making it up. It's just he's trying to make it bigger than it was. I think is what we're saying.
Maybe.
Anyway, because you're bringing now Boogie into the equation. I've seen Boogie in practices, and that ain't real fun. A lot of the time. So that has to be a concern. But I suppose it's not as like we said, for the reasons we just described as far as the culture there. I would imagine maybe it's not as much of a concern. I would hope not.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. And again, Boogie is, he's well liked. It's going to be. I just hope he's healthy when he comes back.
Right. Well, again, 70% of Boogie is still better than just about every other center in the league. And it's kind of crazy. So let's look at this. They have probably the greatest, one of the greatest point guards of all time, Hall of Famer. One of the greatest small forwards of all time, Hall of Famer. They're adding, the best center in the league, right? It's pretty much where we are with Boogie before he went down, right?
Ooh. No, I don't think he's the best center in the league, but one of the few best, one of the five best or something like that, for sure.
Oh, well, who would you put in front of Boogie? Remember the guy.
Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis.
We're going to put Anthony Davis. All right, 'cause to me, Anthony Davis doesn't play the same position, but okay. Embiid, yeah, I suppose he's there. It's close, though. Let's not forget that Boogie is, what he can do when he's out there, right? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he's great when he's fully engaged. And that's the other thing is, I think we're going to see Boogie come back and be in the best shape of his career and be fully engaged in a winning environment. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I love to watch Boogie Cousins play basketball. He was playing some of the best basketball of his career when he got hurt. You could really tell he was enjoying. He was just hustling all over the place. Even in that game where he got hurt, the play right before, he had dove out of bounds to save a ball and then hustled back. It was such a bummer to watch him get hurt, and so now I'm really looking forward to him being in an environment like Golden State, and maybe we'll get lucky and he'll just stay there, and then we'll get this the full dynasty that everyone thinks we're gonna get.
Right. I just don't know how they ever. Klay's contract's coming up, Draymond's contract's coming up. Then how would they do that? I have no idea, but I guess they're smart up there. They could something right. Could they possibly figure it out, or they simply have to pay the tax?
Pay a lot in luxury tax or let some people go. I still think that there is there's a chance KD's leaving next summer. So
Oh, really? I think it's like Clay or Draymond first. I feel like they're the first two who are going to leave.
I think KD. There's a lot of smoke there.
Is there?
Let's just put it that way. Yeah, there's a ton.
Go.
I think
home?
New York is a real possibility.
Really interesting. Okay, interesting. Well, okay, you heard it here first, folks. Interesting question. W1 Charlotte asks: Do you give the Celtics or any other East team any chance against the Warriors in the finals?
I don't give anybody a chance.
Right.
Not at all.
No. I mean, what if Boogie doesn't? All right, it's assuming Boogie comes back. Even if Boogie doesn't come back, there have to be the prohibitive favorites either way, right? For the East.
Yeah, I think they're the favorites. I do think that without a guy like Boogie, I would take the field over the Warriors. Mm-hmm. I think the field is more likely to win. Just because again, like you have that fatigue of doing it again. We heard Kerr talk about it, how hard it is to motivate him and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. So, but now, like, if Boogie comes back, he's motivated. They've got LeBron in LA. That's another motivator. I think we could see them go 16-0 in the playoffs.
If you're anything like me, then you're all too familiar with crushing credit card debt at outrageous interest rates. I try to just put it out of my mind and make whatever payments I can and ignore the fact that I might never finish paying it off. But that can all change now. Lightstream allows you to lower that interest rate and consolidate your debt so you can finally get a handle on your finances. If you have good credit, you can get a credit card consolidation loan anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000 at a 5.89% APR with autopay. Better yet, if you go to lightstream.com/breakdown, you'll get an additional interest rate discount, all with no fees. The only way to get this discount is to visit lightstream.com/breakdown. So lift the burden of debt off your shoulders, get some breathing room, and visit Lightstream today. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information. Now, the biggest loser so far, listen, I don't even want to jump around yet because I want to stay focused, but it seems like Philly, right now, they're on the precipice of like maybe getting Kawhi, maybe not. It sounds like maybe nothing's going to happen. They're going to have to run it back with the same team.
Yeah, but if they run it back with the same team, they're going to get improvement out of guys like Simmons and Embiid, and Fultz is going to be a contributor this year. I like Zaire Smith a lot. I don't know if he'll break the rotation, but if he does, that's another really good athlete. They brought back JJ Redick.
Remind me. What did they get him for?
It's like somewhere between 12 and 13 million for the year. So got him back on a good deal. They overpaid last year so that they could make sure they brought him back. So I like where they are. I still think that it's kind of Philly and Boston and Toronto, and then the rest of the East. It's just ugh.
Right. Well, let's talk about.
I don't know that the rest of the East might not make.
Right.
They might not make the tournament in March, the college tournament in March.
Indiana's making some moves too, so let's not completely sleep on them. Let's look at the notion of what Boogie would be like on the court for a second, because I'm thinking in their offense, obviously they can do a lot of great things out of the high post and all the movement around him. Boogie could get assist after assist on that because at least he used to really be a good passer out of that position, and then step out to the 3-point line and shoot there. I think that would be you get some sort of globetrotter feel to what they do if he plays.
Yeah, I think he's got great hands, great touch. Love him facilitating at the elbow. I'm right there with you. I think he's gonna be able to grab and go quite a bit, and then with all those shooters off of him, we're gonna see him have open lanes to the basket going coast to coast, and it's gonna be fun. Again, this is all about if he can come back and be healthy, and
right.
That's a huge question mark. So we should all temper our expectations, but hope that he comes back and he's healthy.
Right. And by the way, the most common play they run is the low post split. So they can throw it down to him and have Clay and Curry split off of him in front. There's not going to be a lot of help, and either he can hand off or pass for threes and get assists, or then go to work with a lot of room. So we might get back to seeing some really traditional post up stuff, and maybe even get a guy that's going to get to like 1.2 points per possession on a post up back like they used to do it in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is it's gonna keep Draymond from having to play big minutes at center before it matters. And instead of being their fastball, it's going to be their changeup like it used to be. So I think that's one of the bigger things. It's going to save Draymond. He was banged up quite a bit last year, was kind of out of shape because of the injuries and stuff like that. And, this is going to help him quite a bit.
For sure. Well, let's pivot a little bit to talk about what's going on with the Lakers because was it yesterday? Was that when we were just talking? We just had an emergency pod yesterday. Now we're back to talk about after LeBron. So we already went through the whole LeBron thing, and we were really kind of wondering what the next shoe was going to drop. And there was no question that everyone was shocked, to say the least. There's a lot of interesting things going on here. So the Paul George thing, he knew that LeBron was going to the Lakers and decided not to go there. And we have an issue with his agent, Aaron Mintz, who had issues with the Lakers in the past, and there seems to be some animosity there. Now, one of the first signings we had was KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Is it a coincidence that his agent is Clutch Sports, the same management team that is LeBron's management team?
No, I don't think that's a coincidence at all. But again, let's not act like KCP is a bad player. I think he's fine, and I think they definitely overpaid him last year. Mm-hmm. But the $12 million for this year, that's about what he should make. That's starter money. He's a starter, and he's a good defender. As we talked about last night, he's going to hit threes. He's probably going to have more open threes this year, so maybe he shoots even better.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. There we go. And also, So then we have the next signing, JaVale McGee. So JaVale did very nicely in the playoffs, in the finals particularly. He didn't really play much before that against Houston. So they're bringing in a guy who, in fits and spurts can do some things. Are they expecting him to be a 28-minute per game starter?
I don't think so. I would guess somewhere at 18 to 20.
Okay.
I don't know what their plan is. Again, I think their assumption was they were going to sign Boogie. I really do think that was how they've been operating for the last couple of days. I don't know how much the Rondo signing had to do with that. Did they sign Rondo thinking, okay, and then we'll bring in Boogie? I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I mean, do we know anything about Rondo and Boogie being like best buddies?
Yeah, they're buddies. They got along in Sacramento. They got along in New Orleans. All
right.
So I just think
right. This happened before. Wait, what happened? Another team did this and got screwed, right? They signed somebody.
Well,
oh my God.
It was a player. It was Baron Davis and who was it? It was with the Clippers, right?
I'm thinking probably more recent, something about that. But anyway,
Tyson Chandler. They signed Tyson Chandler thinking they were going to get LaMarcus Aldridge.
The Suns. Yeah, right. That didn't go over well. So that's a good one. That's a really bad deal for them, but they're on their way. Okay, so they signed JaVale. So maybe he gets his 6-minute run and 6-minute run in the first and second, whatever. Not a terrible thing. I got to think. Did they overpay him on that one?
Who's that?
JaVale?
Oh, no. It's a good contract for JaVale.
What are they paying? A 1 year?
2.4 or something like that? Oh,
yeah,
my leg fell. Sorry.
Hey.
I think 2.4 is what they paid him.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not terrible.
Yeah, veterans minimum. So, so that's fine. Okay. So now we move on to the next signing, which, I'm not even sure the order now, if it's Rondo or we mentioned Rondo. So let's talk about him first. So they bring in Rondo, but maybe it was to try and lure Boogie over there because Boogie took very little money comparatively. That said, we're all kind of pretending that he doesn't have this horrible career-threatening injury that he might not come back from. But still, wasn't that a little bit of a low deal for someone like Boogie to take?
Well, I mean, if you think about it as a 1 year kind of make good signing by him, it's not a bad idea. And then again, he'll be right back on the market next year. There'll be more money available. He'll probably have a championship. It's okay. It is a good bet on himself, is the way I'll put it. But again, the Pelicans could have re-signed Boogie.
Right.
The Lakers probably could have signed Boogie if they'd offered enough.
Yeah.
And they chose to go other ways.
Interestingly, AD, like 2 days ago, had been saying how much he enjoyed playing with Boogie and how much he wanted them to bring him back. And then all of a sudden we find out that he's been recruiting Julius Randle away from the Lakers for this whole time, right? Like that was interesting to me too because it doesn't seem like you can have both of those positions at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what that means if AD was just sort of just saying what he thought people needed to hear to the public, but was really just like, we don't want, and I don't blame him, by the way, for the reason that we don't think he might not come back. And to bring in Julius Randle, should we quickly jump there for a second? Randle, Mirotic, AD, front court, Drew Holiday. And,
I mean, you're not playing Randle, AD, and Mirotic all at the same time. I think Randle probably comes off the bench, and he could play with Mirotic and he could play with AD, but I don't think he can play all three of them together. Please don't play all three of them together.
Hey, let's find out, man. Let's see what happens. Roll that ball out.
We've seen what happens when Mirotic plays the three. It is not pretty. It is not pretty. He gets abused on the defensive end. So, I think that Randle coming off the bench, they got him on a good contract. It's a 2-year deal worth $18 million. He has a player option, so he'll opt out next summer, and he'll make more money. Again, this is another guy betting on himself rather than locking in that guaranteed money because, I like this kind of stuff, man. I think fortune favors the bold a lot in these situations. And Randle's a good player. I think he showed last year that he's improving. He works hard. He got himself in the best shape of his life. I mean, he's young, but still got himself in the best shape of his life. So obviously he's committed. He's there. Let's see. I'd be interested to see how it goes. I don't love the fit completely, but it'll be fun. It'll at least be interesting.
Right. Yeah, I think that there's something there, and I think Randle proved a lot this past year. Now, let's go back over to the Lakers because let's just kind of fold in the last little deal they did here as far as bringing in Lance Stevenson. Now, first of all, Rajon Rondo, they gave him $9 million for a 1-year contract. Okay, I mean, again, Rajon Rondo is definitely a starter as well, so that's certainly probably low for a decent starter in the league at that position. But they bring in Lance as well. Now, can you give me any explanation, insight into why they would have done this?
No.
Because have you seen anybody provide you a plausible idea for why they did this?
No. And the truth is, I don't think Lance is a bad player at all. But for the mid-level exception, they could have gotten a better guy. And it's just kind of a weird signing, especially on day one. That's the kind of contract you have to give that out, July 10th.
Right.
But there were still guys available. Avery Bradley won't return your phone call. I just some of this stuff has just been weird. And I don't know, and maybe they've got some sort of master plan. I'm just not sure what it is. Honestly, it's a little bit confusing. Again, signing JaVale day one. You couldn't wait a few days. I mean, unless you really felt like JaVale was that important. I think backup centers like JaVale, they are easy to come by. We talk all the time. There's no market for centers in the league. So, I don't know. These have been really confusing moves.
Interestingly enough, someone in the chat asked us, boy, if I can find it, I'll give them a shout out. How is this different? Or, this is a little bit different, but how could they have canceled the Lakers deal for CP3 for basketball reasons back in the day and let all these other ones go? And that's Ozzy Matic asked that.
Yeah, the only way I can actually even try to make an argument for that is because the league owned the team. That was the only reason that they could cancel the deal. But they had let them operate like their own entity. It really did make no sense. And
right.
We can't sit here and relitigate it. It's been too long.
Right. And by the way, Boogie is not CP3, but
no.
And Durant was a signing and not a trade. So, it's a little bit different in either way. But again, we'll never understand why they were, why that deal didn't go through. And we're waiting for the tell-all book. So, okay, so you're bringing in Lance here. We now have a lot of combustible, personalities in the locker room. And Luke Walton is going to have to, I'm not sure how he's going to make it through this, by the way. Now, but the real elephant in the room then is because these deals don't make sense, the timing doesn't make sense, Lance doesn't make sense. Is this LeBron just coming right in and just dictating what he wants to have done?
I don't think so. This didn't feel like LeBron moves, but then again, if it is, it sort of falls a little bit in line with what we've seen from him before.
Right,
going after veterans, signing guys that really aren't any good anymore. Like I don't think LeBron James, if he was a GM, would be a very good one. If we're to believe. I don't really think that he's involved in these moves. I think maybe that they're running the bike. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that a guy as good as LeBron, who has played in the league as long as he has and is as much a student of the game as he is, would say, you know what, we need to go get Rajon Rondo.
Right. And by the way, you did tune out for a half second there, and it must be LeBron screwing around with our internet service because he was not happy with what you were saying. Although you're being very nice, because it's easy to just light the guy on fire because, Windhorse was on another podcast earlier listening to today, and he rattled off the list of things that LeBron basically forced the Cavs to do while he was there, and deals that they did not want to have done, that they sort of had to do because LeBron told them to, and it really kind of hamstrung them. Also, it's interesting is that he never signed a long-term deal with Cleveland, and then he just turns around the first day and signs a three-year thing with the Lakers, which I think we talked about yesterday. But it's got to be just a big finger in the eye to the Cavaliers fans now because he left them with a very bare cupboard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was very personal. I think not committing to them, not signing the long-term deal. He didn't want to make them comfortable. It was a lot of tentative kind of feelings in that relationship. So, it definitely. I mean, Windhorse. I don't know if I listened. Maybe it was on Zach Lowe's podcast today, or it was on TV. But he kind of intimated the same thing, that he felt the same way. And it definitely, I don't think there's any other way to take it.
Right. So anyway, the bottom line is I think that is LeBron. I think LeBron is coming in there. Guess what he does? He comes in and just takes over. We heard Dan Gilbert say that he's kind of happy he can have his team back. And they try to sort of distance himself from that sentence, but I really feel like that was a real sentiment where that he never had control of the team as long as LeBron was there. And that's the deal you make when you bring him in. He will win all these games for you. He'll get you to the finals, so maybe win a title in there as well. But, it's definitely a bulldozer coming in there. And that's going to be an interesting thing because you have, Rob Pelinka is a very new GM with not a lot of experience. Luke Walton is still a kind of a new coach, right, who hasn't really had a lot of pressure on him to win yet. So I don't know. I'm thinking that there's some issues there that could also be a problem. I don't think I was aware. I kind of heard about it, whatever, but maybe my head was in the sand. LeBron kind of quit in the middle of last year to sort of force them to finally make some moves. Is that sort of what happened? That I kind of, is that really what happened?
Mean, sort of. I mean, it felt that way, right? You watched the Cavs in January. They were terrible.
Remind me, but what was he doing? Just kind of not giving any effort into sort of.
Oh, there was emotions? There was no defense. There was a lot of bad body language. We talked about it on the podcast, but
yeah, okay. I guess I just blocked it out. So yeah, and that's the kind of thing that could happen again. The way with this team, right? That's the thing is this team. People are trying to say, well, LeBron wants a lifestyle change. His family likes it in LA. He's maybe not winning isn't the biggest priority, but come on, you can't tell me. Come January 10th, if they're sub 500 or whatever, that's going to be okay with him.
See, this is kind of the crux of the entire thing. If he's okay, are we okay? If he's okay with this team that's going to, I don't know, they're going to win 45, 46, 47 games. They might be a 6 seed or something like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, what happens then? Is he okay with it? I don't know. Now, they also could tonight, after we do this emergency podcast, could just trade for Kawhi Leonard, and then all of a sudden it's a game changer. Now, with that being said, I still don't think it puts them in the Warriors conversation yet. No, I just I think that they're a guy short.
Well, we also have to find out what they're going to give up for Kawhi, because that could also just be to spite your face. You're going to cut off your nose and give away what the things they need. For instance, they needed Randall coming off the bench with a team LeBron and Kawhi out there, whatever, and he's gone now. And they wouldn't be able to afford him anyway, it sounds like. So, that's the problem. It's great. And I know people were arguing with me that if you had, I think I had some doubts about, in one of my videos about whatever the mixture was, but it was great. If that 5 played all 48 minutes and never got tired, then sure, they'd beat the Warriors. But that's the issue, is that you don't have enough depth.
They need shooting. That's number one. You look at the team that they've got right now, and, KCP. I said this earlier, that's a brick factory. KCP right now is the only guy that is going to be able to shoot. Lonzo, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Ingram, maybe.
Right. Ingram, I would say maybe, but man, he doesn't even take any of them. That's the thing that's weird for him. I can't quite wrap my head around.
Right.
But, that could change.
Less than 2 threes a game last year.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have the ball in his hands. I mean, Kuzma's the only guy that I think it kind of has the I don't know. I think Kuzma would work fine with LeBron. I think like Kuzma is kind of like confident enough to be able to play with LeBron, and will he be able to score in the way that he scores? No, he'd have to change his game, but you never know. But again, what I've been hearing, all right, now this is sources say, but what I've been hearing is the Spurs are asking a ton, like more than Kuzma, or not more than
Ingram and Kuzma first.
Ingram, Kuzma, Hart, a couple of picks.
Yikes.
And that's a lot. And then the Lakers don't want to give him anything. And so, you got to think maybe the Lakers, after the Boogie signing, they missed out on Boogie more so than the Warriors signing him, but more so that they didn't get him. Maybe they're thinking about upping the offer. I don't know. Will they give up that much for Kawhi? I don't know. I doubt it.
Right. Well,
I don't think they have to.
They can wait. Right. They can make a midseason trade as well. Like Kawhi could refuse to play. Like that kind of came out. Right. Did we talk about this? Where like Kawhi might just sit out. He's that angry at the Spurs. And
is he going to sit out? Is he going to sit out and not get paid?
Wait, but that wouldn't. Is that what happens if he sits out?
Yeah. The Spurs would file a grievance with the league, and he would be suspended without pay.
Ah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's a rig. I mean, I can't believe they want to go through that mess. So maybe they would then want to trade him, and maybe they knock out one of those players and they do the deal. I mean, I would probably do it. I mean, 2 firsts is a lot. I mean, and then you have to imagine maybe like they both are unprotected, or maybe one's protected, one's not.
They would have to be unprotected.
I didn't even. Isn't it like a rule you're not allowed to trade a first round that's not protected anymore?
Yeah, it's getting there. Nobody wants to, but the truth is, like, it would have to be unprotected, and those picks aren't going to be worth that much. They're going to be somewhere in the 20s, so they're not even going to be that valuable. You'd have to kick it down the road so far that it might be too far. And this could be Popovich's last year as a coach, last couple years. He's not going to want to rebuild. I believe that the franchise probably feels like they owe it to him. Let's try to be competitive. So it's not like they're going to blow it up and tank and try to get into the lottery themselves. So, they're going to want some good assets. And I just don't know if they're going to work it out. Now, you brought up Philly earlier. If Philly's starting to feel a little left out on this, they could make a great offer and be aggressive. And Brett Brown and Kawhi Leonard, they have a relationship. Maybe he convinces the ownership group there, hey, I can sell Kawhi on sticking around. And it would be a great fit. Oh, man, it would be an amazing fit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where they go. I was trying to work out a trade with the Miami Heat. I don't think that was a great one. I don't know if they're going to keep Kawhi around. But anyway, the Lakers could miss out on Kawhi, right? Like, let's just throw it out there. They missed out on Paul George all year, me included. Oh, Paul George is definitely going there. Don't worry, no big deal. You don't want to pull a Knicks with Melo and give up picks and assets. Well, you're not good. You don't want to give those up when you can just get them next summer.
Right.
Well, guess what? Now, I don't know. Kind of a different story. Now I know Kawhi's a different dude, so
right. But it speaks volumes that Paul George did not go to the Lakers. It really does, and I'm fascinated by that. But then again, it also speaks volumes that he stayed and played with Russ. So for both of those reasons, don't compute in my mind. But certainly there's something there, and we'll have to see how that goes. Maybe Russ and Paul George are going to make a run for the Lakers after LeBron's gone or something. But let's do a rundown. They're both LA guys, right? Well, let's do a quick rundown of some questions we have in the thing as we wrap up the show. So let's see. Sure. Q asks, why do the Warriors need to add DeMarcus? I don't know if you answered it, and then they never. So they needed to add him. I don't think they needed to. I think they had the opportunity, and why not, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And by the way, they're probably afraid that there are teams like Houston or the Lakers, someone's going to try and do another super team, so they need to, you always got to keep evolving and growing. So
yeah, you don't want to rest on your laurels in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You got to always look to get better.
Yellow Monkey asks, any chance Boogie never even steps on the court? I think he will definitely step on the court, right? That's not even an issue, right?
Well, I think there's a chance. Anytime you have a guy coming back from an injury like this, there's always a chance. But from everything we've seen and heard, I think he's going to be back and he's going to be fine-ish, right? Like, We'll see how he is, but he's going to be back and healthy. Now, whether that means 100% Boogie Cousins, he's going to be successful anywhere, though. Golden State's a great place. He's going to, they're going to kind of cater to his strengths, and he could even wind up looking better in Golden State coming back from an Achilles injury than he has at any point in his career.
Right.
Because he's going to have easy looks.
Right, but also because in theory he would have rehabbed harder than he ever had for anything else and gotten his body in a better shape than it ever had been, which is sort of what we've seen with the ACL tear. So, yes, possibly. Let's see. Clark Coey asks, Lakers just going to punt this year and sign Kawhi next summer instead of trading Ingram and Kuz? Again, I cannot see how LeBron would allow them to do that, and that's why, right? So it's not going to happen.
If you're the Lakers, are you going to punt on what, listen, Father Time's undefeated. LeBron James is 33 years old. He'll be 34 during next season. He'll turn 34. You just don't give up prime years of Hall of Fame players for nothing. You don't just say, we'll just go get them next year. And this could very well be, like, what if it's LeBron's last year as the best player in the league? Which is, it's possible. It's even probable that it's his last season at this sort of level we expect. We've just forgotten that guys get old because LeBron hasn't yet. But he's got over 54,000 minutes. I mean, this is going to be year 16. It's unprecedented what he's doing, the level that he's playing at. So the idea that he's just going to do this forever in this way, we just need to get that out of our heads right now. I mean, at some point he's going to slow down. It's just how it works. And the hope is that it's no time soon, but it could be. What if it's next season?
Right.
What if it's the season after? And then you said, okay, well, he's great this next year. We hope he's great the following year. And it just shouldn't work that way. If your goal is to win a championship with LeBron James, you need to go ahead and go get Kawhi, and you need to try to get these guys around him. And this has been my whole thing all along. A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush.
All right, I don't know who the bush is, but that's a good phrase. All right, we'll hear a question from Schneid's97. Have we ever seen 5 All-Stars on the same team? And I quickly looked it up, and I know we've had 4 the same year. Now, you can have an All-Star from 5 years ago and joining whatever, and that I still don't think we've ever had 5, but do you have any
of
that?
Iguodala was an All-Star at some point, right?
Yeah, I think he was. So there's your answer. Yeah. So the teams have had it, I'm sure. Maybe like fading star who was an all-star. Remember, like Drew Holiday is an all-star, right? Like some of those guys sometimes get in and once or something. So anyhow, but again, I don't think we've ever had like maybe 5 all-stars in their prime. And again, is Boogie now in his prime or not? We don't know. But we'll have to find out. But interesting, and certainly I tell you, it will be fun to at least people who are not so completely opposed to what the Warriors are doing. It will be fun to watch Boogie out there and let them, do their high post action with him. Why hasn't LeBron done a sign and trade for Kendrick Perkins? Asks Ann HP. Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's like the next move he's going to make, right?
Probably not.
No. Let's see here. Any other good questions? You see anything in there while we're scrolling down quickly? Thoughts on Tyreek to Indy? Colts fan Ryan asks.
That's fine. I mean, they could use a scorer coming off the bench.
Yeah, I like Indy. I think that they're got something there, but can Tyreek just play the role of Lance? Yeah, and maybe a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe
it'd be better. I think he could probably give him like 18 a game. You know?
Yeah. Now, here's what's funny is I just got a link here to something, and I clicked on it. Oh, it doesn't even show me. Let's see. Can I do that? There's a Wikipedia to the 75-76 season. I'm assuming it's about like maybe the how many All-Stars on one team. But there's no links. It's not active. So, nonetheless. Well, Dave, I think it's a great show here. Another good emergency pod on another emergency subject. We covered everything I think we need to do until, I guess, tomorrow, right?
I was going to say, we'll be back tomorrow once Kawhi gets traded.
Yes, we will, right. And my hands are full. I hope I can get all these things done before I go to Summer League on Sunday, where I will join you in hanging out and watching some talent.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, Summer League games started tonight in Utah and California. Jaren Jackson Jr. looks awesome.
Yeah.
Looks fantastic. He's hitting tons of threes, shooting tons of threes. It's great. So
yeah, although that form, man, it makes me.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's going in. So
yeah, and it's good rhythm, so I can't argue with it.
It is, yeah. So I'm just glad that basketball is back. I've missed it. It's been a long month.
Yeah, Trae Young, not so much, by the way.
It'll be all right.
Right, but he was competing. That's what I liked. He didn't hang his head. He didn't shy away. He was aggressive.
Passing.
Yeah,
His
and he was passing.
Was awesome.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of time for him to get adjusted to that and the spacing, and he'll I'm sure start knocking down some shots. So, well, listen, thank you everyone for coming here. It's a great show, and we will be back as soon as we have to for another one, and we'll be here all summer. So don't go anywhere. If you see us at summer leagues, feel free to grab us and say hi. We love to always interact with everybody.
Definitely say hi.
Yeah, and don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Dave?
Yes, I am.